It's always about them defending the thing that they're trying to do, right? That's how you know it's a problem, when the whole time that you're trying to roll something out, that you're defending it the whole time and you're trying to convince people, right? If you got to convince so many people that this is a good thing, and you got to spend this much money propagandizing it, it's a little bit of a problem there. COVID-19 vaccines have expected side effects, but experts say there's no cause for concern. As the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines approaches, one question many have is, what will I feel like after I take a vaccine? Probably like a GMO creation, or probably like nothing at all. Luckily, there are thousands of people who already know firsthand what side effects can be expected from these vaccines. Those who have already participated in clinical trials. I don't want to sign up for anything that involves a list of side effects. Right? They're only telling you the side effects that they know or have been documented. The first Canadians may receive a COVID-19 vaccine by next week, with 249,000 doses of the Pfizer BioNTech shot expected by the end of this year. BioNTech going into your body. Do you even know what that is? No? Neither do I. Neither do you. Neither do the people that are giving you the injection. They don't seem to know what it is either. They just seem to say, oh, yeah. It just goes in and rewrites your DNA. The vaccine is safe. It's safe, guys. And any side effects that appeared in trials were temporary. It's only temporary side effects. Nothing long term, even though we got nothing to go on. We're just going to tell you that there's nothing long term, even though it's only been 6 months. There's no 6 month side effects. But vaccine study volunteers like Nurse Kristen Chow say people preparing for COVID-19 vaccinations need to know what side effects could happen. Not to scare them away, but to let them know of what to expect when they do get a vaccine and reassure them that it's going to be all right. Yes, we want to assure people that there's no side effects by giving them the list of short-term side effects and not telling them what the long-term side effects are, which we don't know. But that's reassuring. She wrote about taking part in a Pfizer trial in the summer in a JAMA article published this week called a Nursing Researcher's Experience in a COVID-19 Vaccine Trial. Volunteering for the trial felt like an honorable thing to do, and the 50% chance to be randomized to the vaccine early seemed equally compelling to me as a practicing nurse, she wrote in the paper. So it felt like an honorable thing to do. It felt like an honorable thing for you to go and be part of an experimental process that is going to be implemented on the entire Canadian population. It felt honorable to be a sacrificial lamb. Maybe if it involved actually helping people, then that would be an honorable thing. But instead, you're just going for the easy magic way out. Oh, look, I've got this magic liquid in this vial I'm going to inject into your arm, and oh, you weren't sick before and you're still not sick. But now maybe you'll get sick because your DNA has been rewritten and your autoimmune responses have been destroyed. She passed the necessary screening and was soon set up to be one of the trial participants. The trial involved injecting half of the participants with a placebo and half of them with the experimental vaccine in order to measure whether the vaccine actually had an effect. After the first shot, Cho felt fine and had no idea whether she'd received the placebo or the vaccine. Her second shot, administered the following month, was a different story. The injection site was a much more painful than when she received the first shot, and by the end of the day she felt lightheaded, chilled, nauseous, and had a splitting headache. Sounds like she's got COVID-19. She fell asleep, but then woke up at midnight feeling worse. She was feverish and could barely lift her arm, according to her description on JAMA. At 5:30 a.m., she woke once again and took her temperature, finding it was a scorching 40.5 degrees Celsius. When I saw that I had a high fever, that's the highest fever I can ever remember having, Cho told CTV News. I think my initial just gut reaction was, do I have COVID somehow? She reported her reaction to the researchers at 9 a.m. when the office reopened, and was told that a lot of people have reactions after the second injection, and that she should keep monitoring her symptoms. Both Pfizer and Moderna say their vaccines can induce side effects similar to the symptoms of COVID-19 infection, including fatigue, chills, headaches, muscle aches, and joint pain. So that could be anything. In the case of the Pfizer vaccine, those older than 56 years of age experienced milder side effects than the younger cohort of 18 to 55. The most common side effects were fatigue and headaches for all ages, with as many as 60% of the younger group experiencing fatigue after their second shot. Only 16% of the younger group had a fever after their second shot, compared to 11% of the older group, according to a briefing document submitted to the FDA. So I got a question with that. Why does it affect young people more than old people? Why do they seem to have experienced more side effects like fatigue after the second shot? Why them? Why not the older people? What's the deal with that? Cho's fever was high enough to be deemed severe, which was only experienced by 0.8% of participants after their second dose. 0.8, that's less than the death rate of COVID-19. While Cho's instinctive fear after becoming feverish was understandable, neither vaccine can give recipients the virus. That's the placebo and the vaccine. Oh, well, that's good. It can't give you the virus. You cannot possibly get COVID-19 from the COVID-19 vaccine, Dr. Paul Offit told CTV News. Offit is a pediatrician specializing in infectious diseases and an expert in virology and vaccine development, who currently serves on the FDA committee overseeing and evaluating COVID-19 vaccines. So she has no dog in the fight, right? There's no biased opinion there. The side effects of the vaccines may sound frightening and unpleasant, but they're nothing to be worried about in the long run, according to experts like Dr. Suman Chakrabarty, an infectious disease specialist. But you don't know what the long-term side effects are. That's the problem. You have no idea what the long-term side effects are. You haven't tested them long-term. So how can you say that you don't need to be worried about them? I like how these people are experts sometimes, and then they don't know anything when it's convenient. These are actually indicators that your immune system is activated and not evidence of the vaccine causing the disease in you. So you didn't have any of these things beforehand, and then you get the vaccine, and then all of a sudden you get the symptoms as if you were sick. So what was the point in taking in the first place if you didn't have any of those symptoms? If you weren't experiencing them, why would you want to experience them afterwards? And what's to say that you're not going to continue to experience them? And this is no different with the new vaccines. It could cause you to feel badly enough to miss a day of work. I think people should think about these as just your immune response doing what it normally does. When you're infected with a virus or bacteria, or when you are inoculated with a vaccine, your immune response goes in action. It makes a variety of proteins called cytokines, which cause these kinds of symptoms that shift your immune system in action. So then, is it not giving you COVID-19? Right? If you get the shot and then your autoimmune response kicks in and you start having the symptoms as if you had it, are you not getting it?
Oh, no.
They are, in a sense, injecting you with it. Because you didn't have the symptoms before, but now you do after you get the shot. And that's your autoimmune response. Well, your autoimmune response would have fought it without the shot. If you would have got sick, but you weren't getting sick, you just preemptively injected yourself with the sick. So now it's there. And now you're going to get the vaccine, so now it's in there. Taking over your immune system. Cho may have had an upsetting day after receiving her second shot, but it was over as quickly as it arrived. By the next morning, all of her symptoms were gone except for a swollen bump at the injection site. She noted that while her symptoms were common for trial participants, most participants did not have all of the symptoms she experienced at once. 4 volunteers received Bell's palsy who got the Pfizer vaccine. They made a full recovery. Still reports these things can make people hesitant about taking vaccines themselves. That's why doctors say full transparency is critical. I think you would do better to explain to them that this might happen in advance so that they're not scared off, it said. Cho agrees. I think that hearing about high rates of side effects, it could be something that makes people worried about the vaccine or even deters them from getting it. It's really important that people get both doses for it to be effective. And so if people were to stop after the first dose because they didn't feel good, that could be a problem for getting the vaccine out to people. Any vaccines that reach the public will have gone through numerous trials spanning thousands of people in order to test the safety and efficacy of the vaccine, and then will also have to be cleared by Health Canada before Canadians start getting any injections. Although Cho had a rougher vaccine experience than many others will have, she has no regrets in participating in the vaccine trials, right? Because she thought it was honorable. If I had to do it over again, I absolutely would, she said, doubling down. And I would encourage all of the healthcare workers and members of the public to do the same. Right? So I did it, so everyone else has to do it too. I suggest that everybody does it. Right? Don't be scared. I did it. Now she just wants to prepare others for the vaccination. Some people may need a day or two to recover. I think it's important that the professionals, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, blah, 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 they all get it. And to tell people up front about the potential side effects and to explain why they're happening. That's how vaccines work and how our bodies learn to protect themselves. And I think that we don't always do a good job at explaining that to people in detail. That's how vaccines work and how our bodies learn how to protect themselves. No, when God created us, He built our bodies so that they could protect themselves. Okay? So they could protect themselves against disease. I mean, that's how humanity has been ever since creation, right? We've been in a situation, adapted to the situation, conquered it, right? certain points in time in history, an infection or a disease or something comes up, wipes out a lot of people. It's a bad thing. World moves on, and history continues. But no, at this point in time, we're going to shut everything down for something that no one even knows if they have it or not. Our bodies have autoimmune responses to infections, to diseases, right? We get sick to fight off the infection, to fight off the disease. That is our autoimmune response. If we reprogram our autoimmune response, right, with something that we don't know what kind of effect it'll have on our autoimmune response, then we are potentially damaging our bodies in the sense that getting a common cold or getting the flu could become far more deadly. Because your autoimmune, if you see people that have vaccines all their life, people that are in these bubbles all their lives, they're always the most unhealthy people. They always look unhealthy, they always act unhealthy, they think unhealthy. They have no germs, except for germs of the mind. The concept of side effects is daunting, but they're far better than getting sick from COVID-19. So even though you didn't have any of the side effects before, and you didn't have COVID-19 before, the side effects from getting the vaccine are better than getting COVID-19, even though you didn't get COVID-19 this whole year. The virus actually causes inflammation of your blood vessels, and because every organ in your body has a blood supply, every organ can be affected, he said. It can cause strokes, heart attacks, liver disease, kidney disease. Well, there you go, right? It accounts for every problem, every health problem in the world today is coronavirus. Right? Because strokes, heart attacks, liver disease, kidney disease, these are all things that people are dying from, and they're being labeled as coronavirus deaths. Right? So this is a far harsher list than the list of the side effects. Okay? But if you get the vaccination and you get the side effects that are the symptoms of COVID-19, well, then how do you know that you're not going to go into a full-on COVID attack? Coronavirus does a number of things that we would have never been anticipated. I think you should fear this virus. You should fear it. And if you have a day or two of these mild symptoms of fever, fatigue, or headaches from taking a vaccine, that is a very small price to pay for knowing that you're going to be immune to COVID-19. But that's the thing. You're not going to be immune to it. You got to take both shots, and you're going to have to get shots the following year. And you're still going to have to wear your mask, they said. And you're still going to have to social distance. You're still going to have to abide by all the rules and all the mandates. They already said that it's not going to stop you from getting COVID if you get the vaccination. They said that you can still get it, you can still pass it on. It basically does nothing. They're just giving, and this whole piece, by saying that, oh, you're going to be immune to COVID once you get the shot. People read that and they think, I'm going to be immune to COVID. But then the next day they also report, just because you get the vaccine doesn't mean you're immune. So they put out conflicting information. But people, whatever information gets put out, whether it's right or wrong, they're going to grab a hold of whatever it is that's going to make them feel good. And they're going to grab on to the whole idea that you're going to be immune from COVID if you get it, when they've already told you that you're not. Offit added that he can't wait to get his vaccine. Sure. And yes, I'd be more than happy to give it to my family. But he hasn't gotten it yet, and he probably isn't getting it. Right? I'd be more than happy to give it to my family. Governments and vaccine makers will also continue to monitor these vaccines as millions more get the shot in the coming weeks, ensuring that a safe rollout is possible. See, they're not very convincing in any of these articles, because most of the articles and most of the news reports, it's always about them defending the thing that they're trying to do, right? That's how you know it's a problem, when the whole time that you're trying to roll something out, that you're defending it the whole time and you're trying to convince people, right? If you got to convince so many people that this is a good thing and you got to spend this much money propagandizing it, it's a little bit of a problem there. Active COVID-19 cases, 75,116 recovered, 402,854 deceased, 14,000. That's like the same number that was there last year, I'm pretty sure. Total, 493,063 people have been infected by the Covo-19. 490,000 of those people never even knew they had it. It's a phantom disease.